That should not be a criminal offense. That should not be a reason why you get detained and treated and thrown to the ground and hurt. We're going to continue to fight. We have heard from family members that ICE is even throwing away their medications. They have medications with them and they're throwing it away. So we can have a situation where people can lose their lives, or people can get even sicker if they're not addressing their medications and their illnesses. That is not the right way. The United States fights around the world for human rights, yet we are the worst human rights violators in our own home of our own people. So we need to continue to fight. For the community, if you have a family member that's been arrested and detained, please call our offices. Call Carecen at 213-385-7800, extension 136. Call Chirla, call our hotline, call all of these other organizations that have services and that are here to fight for you. Don't lose hope, because when we lose hope, they win. They're terrorizing us. They're treating us as if they're in war with us, with war tactics and war equipment. But we are not going to lose hope, and we're not going to stop fighting. Thank you.
Thank you. One last thing. So we heard from an attorney that their client said that they weren't going to be allowed to see their attorney or also anybody else to be allowed in because there's a protest going on at 8 a.m. here at this spot. I don't know if this doesn't look like a protest to me. This looks like members of Congress and their attorneys trying to do their jobs. So I want to say that we know that they're going to use any excuse. They're going to say that certain things are happening when they're not. We're not here to protest. We're here to do our jobs as our members of Congress. I showed them this card, which is if I can vote yes or no on your budget, I can vote to impeach a president. You know, I can be able to come in and do my job according to the law of the United States of America. With that, we'll take some questions.
Is there much you can do to stop the actual detaining of these people? I know you're very upset about the conditions, but as far as the actual detaining, which I know you're opposed to, is there really much you can do to actually force the federal government, the Trump administration, not just to?
Well, one of the things is that people do have rights, right? They have a right to counsel. They have a right to due process. They should not be removed without talking to an attorney. One of the things that we're concerned about is the expedited removal, where they basically say, hey, sign this with nobody present. They sign it and then they're gone. We've heard of some individuals that have been in this country for decades, never had a problem with the law, and they were picked up. Now we don't even know who they are. We don't know their court cases. So there's we're going to keep requesting that their attorneys be allowed to talk to their clients. Here's the thing: if they don't have access to due process, then nobody has access to due process. There's individuals from across the country who are U.S. citizens that were arrested and detained. The only reason why some of them haven't been deported is because they had access to an attorney, and that's what it's about, is making sure that they can talk to representatives to protect the rights that they have, regardless of their legal status.
And how would you characterize what happened yesterday?
What happened yesterday was a travesty. Remember, one of the reason why this all occurred, people were asking me, I showed up to Chinatown last night because the FBI was stationed in Chinatown. It was ramping up the anxiety. I spoke to the agents in charge, told them, hey, you got to get going. And why that's the case is because they started going after people in locations they never went after people at. One, when you have a check-in, they never arrested you in the past. You were going through the process.
Yes,
And then you also, when you would go to a hospital, when you go to a school or to certain sensitive places, but because of that has spread fear throughout all the communities here.
Yes, but what happened here in Los Angeles yesterday is not unique to Los Angeles. What happened here yesterday is happening across communities in the United States. They did the same thing in Minneapolis. Many officers, local law enforcement officers were injured. Many citizens were injured simply because they were bystanders recording what was happening. We have to record what is happening. Why? Because the federal government and ICE is using masks and under the cover of their law enforcement shield, they are terrorizing our communities and they are abusing their power. That is why we are here as members of Congress. We need to stop in communities across the country. Members of Congress from across the country need to stand up and demand that ICE stop all operations because they are causing a lot of injuries to our local law enforcement and costing our communities a lot of money.
And what just add to that big beautiful bill that's moving through Congress right now has a huge bump in funding for ICE, DHS, and we're here really to make sure that ICE is complying with the law, our oversight, and due process. And you've heard statements here today that people are being denied their due process right to an attorney. This is important for us. That's the job of Congress, to make sure that the laws are being complied with.
And here's the thing. This is what they're doing is a pattern. And it's a national pattern. Why? Because they have a plan. They're trying to up the deportations to 3,000 a day. Stephen Miller went off on the departments because they weren't getting enough people. He said go to where they're at. He told them to go to the restaurants. He told them to go to the schools. He told them to go to the day labor sites. He told them to ramp it up. Additionally, they want mass fear to create self-deportation. That's what they want. They want people to be scared that they're going to be separated from their children. And they do that by trying to do this overwhelming force. But here in the city of Los Angeles, they picked on the wrong city, to be honest with you. This is not a city that cowers or backs down. This is the one that uses their right to free speech, the right to assemble, the right to seek an attorney, to push back. And that's what we want people to know. Also, if you think this doesn't apply to citizens, we're starting to see that it does apply to citizens. Due process is not also about protecting yourself and your rights, but also your property. If they can take you away, they can take your house away, they can take your car away, they can take your business away. So this is serious, and the path we're on is one that really does shred the constitutional protection that are afforded to everybody.
I've spoken to families back home, families that have had people here 30 years, and all of a sudden their family members are deported. You know, you hear Miller talking about going after criminals, but clearly a lot of these individuals, the vast majority, have no criminal backgrounds. They're just working in this country honestly. The effect is you take away the breadwinner, you know exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have disaster in the family, then it goes into the other community. But what Jimmy said right now is very important. A lot of the ICE agents that have been doing the job around here have been fired because they're not meeting the quotas that Steve Miller asks for. So you have ICE agents that were actually following the law due process. They were fired. They're bringing in other individuals, and that's not good.
And we even had a individual here that asked us as members of Congress to see if her father was inside. You know, so somebody that's deeply concerned wanted to check in if her father was actually was arrested. She assumes that he's here, who signed a privacy authorization form so that we can actually look for him. This is that's what you're seeing, is people that are deeply concerned, that are coming to see if their loved ones are being held. Some people have no idea. There are LAUSD students that are here or have been already deported or taken to other states. So the fear is real. I've had people from the school district reach out saying that there's kids that have been detained, students that go to school in our community. So no, we're hearing it every single day. We know what's at stake. Anything else? Go ahead.
Nazi Germany.
Oh, Nazi Germany.
Comparisons to Nazi Germany in the 30s and 40s and South America in the 70s.
You know what? I can make comparisons 1930s to the United States of America. United States of America, 1930s, when he had deportations of Mexicans, citizens being deported back to Mexico.
That's right.
You don't have to look at another country, just look at history being repeated in the United States. This has happened before. It's happening again. And that's why we have to insist that laws, the Constitution, be complied with.
I know you guys got up really close to the gate. Can you describe what you saw and how it
It's sure. My name is Angelica Salas. I'm the executive director of Chirla. I want to say that it's the same feeling when you see family members, because you know that they're fathers and mothers. They're people who are loved by other people. And to see them taken into a van, scared, not knowing if they're ever going to see their family member, for me, it breaks my heart, but it also angers me. It infuriates me. Yesterday, I was at the site, at one of the sites that was actually raided, one of the work sites, one of the warehouses. I stayed there after everybody else left and I stayed there alongside my colleague, Marta. We got to see family members returning to that site, looking for their loved ones, getting their belongings, and fully in stress and in tears. And then right now, those family members could be the same ones that are being taken away. And when we talked to them there, we said, okay, give us your name. We're going to go and find him, find them inside so that we can actually provide representation. And so not to be able to get in and to be able to actually fulfill that commitment is infuriating and it's tragic. And so it breaks my heart, but it also fills me with a lot of anger in order to keep fighting for due process. It was mostly men that I saw, but it was dark. They also decided, if you see, they decided to cover up. They purposely started putting a screen up, a black screen up. So it's important for me to also note that they also don't want us to witness this. That's why they don't want us to protest this. They don't want us to be out. They want to do this without any level of accountability. And you as the press and we as the community-based organizations, the members of Congress, we are part of a democratic process to bring light to these things. And for them, to then put a black shield on this side is very problematic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think they might have gotten notice that they could potentially be let in. So I think this is what we're waiting on. Okay. Angelica Salas with Chirla, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. Yes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stay here. Family members have been, coming in. But one thing I do before we go, our number for family members, or family members who are afraid to come here, it's our 1-800 number. So our number is 1-888-624-4752. Once again, 1-888-624-4752. En español, si usted tiene un miembro de su familia que está detenido aquí y quiere representación legal gratuita, está ofrecido, puede llamar a nuestra línea de telefónica. Es